Good morning. Can anybody hear me? I can't hear anything.
This is Deborah, and I can hear you.
Can you hear anything from the room?
No, not yet.
Okay, good. So it's not just me. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Do you want to send a message over to Blair?
I did. I just
Perfect.
asked him any audio, but I haven't heard that yet.
That's just fine. I'm sure we're all getting our acts together. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Okay, hanging in. I'm grateful to not be in a hospital, but it's just a bear trying to get things caught up and just trying to stay on an even keel.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
I don't know. Is it because I'm older and less flexible, or I don't know.
And because it's very stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think rolling with the punches, though, is part of the human condition. We all do it.
Yes.
And look who I'm talking to. Somebody who, broke something serious and had to be in a wheelchair and had to limp around. How dare I complain? I'm sorry. I take it.
No. Mine was temporary. So that's the big difference, right?
Well, that's and if that's true, that's completely wonderful. Do you feel like
Oh, here we go with some.
The time being 9:01, I would like to herd my cats and bring this meeting to order. I am Mavis Bates. I'm the chairman of the Kane County Energy and Environmental Committee, and I would like to welcome my wonderful committee, my wonderful staff to this meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Alan? Caius?
Whoa, there we go. Alan, President. And good morning. And what a lovely introduction, Madam Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Alan, yes. Caius?
Caius, yes. Present.
Molina? Molina, present. Strathman?
Strathman present.
Wallace? Wonicky?
Present.
Bates?
Present. Thank you. And to all those in the room, we are trying to get the heat turned up,
Or the air turned
the air turned down.
down. Yeah.
Okay.
No
Well, I could get out my blanket, I suppose. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from August 12th, please?
Caius, move.
Caius moves.
Wonicky seconds.
A second.
I'd like to make an amendment or an addition. Last month after Claire's presentation, I mentioned that we should maybe revisit the user fee for Kane County plastic bags. And I noticed that was not in the minutes, so I'd like that mentioned in the minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is an ordinance that we could be working on.
Correct.
The-
Yeah.
The bag fee, and that was brought up by one of
User
our
fee.
public speakers
Yeah.
So that's the plastic one use.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. This is something we talked about several years ago, but we were a little ahead of our time, I'd say. And
Mhm.
now I believe Batavia has passed a user fee on their plastic bags.
And
First time.
that was brought up by one of our public speakers a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
okay, revisit the plastic one-use bag fee.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, thank
that's-
you.
That's a good one. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alan. Caius.
Alan, I.
Sorry. Caius,
Bias, yes.
Molina. Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Wallace. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Wonnicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Yes. Thank you. Is there any public comment? None in the room that I can see. Anybody online with a public comment? Okay, then we will move forward to environmental with Ms. Wolnick.
I have an ordinance before you this morning. Would you like to make a motion and second first, or would you like me to go through it?
Let's have a motion. to-
Gaius, move.
Caius
Wonnicki seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before you this morning is an ordinance change to our health code, amending chapter 23 wells and water supply. If I will go back to some history, because this has taken a while to get to this point. And if you recall, really early in January of 2021, we did a presentation at this committee that discussed the findings of the Campton Township water well evaluation that we had done over the past previous 3 years, which would be 2017, 2018, and 2019. And this was a study that was monitoring residential wells out in Campton Township. And the reason for the study was that the state had done some monitoring of water levels in the wells out in Campton Township and found quite a few anomalies from what they expected to see. And so we felt it was important to get some additional information to ensure that the state water model of our area is accurately reflecting that. Historically, due to the construction and history involved with Fox Mill, their drilling of their well had resulted in some issues in some adjacent subdivisions where some of the residents found that their wells had gone dry and they had to deepen their wells. After that time, the county had given direction for new subdivisions coming into Campton Township that the wells for the residents be drilled to the deeper aquifer system, which is also called the St. Peter Aquifer. In doing this, however, the county did not regulate what other aquifers that were above that St. Peter Aquifer, which is about 600 feet underground, were connected together. And so over the period of the early 2000s, pretty much the last 25 years, as these hundreds and hundreds of wells and development was going just crazy, were being developed, a lot of the wells were left open to multiple units. And the concern with this is that the water quality of these upper units is not the same as the water quality of your lower units. And so you end up with this mixing of water in the various units, and people can have water quality issues. You can also have drawdown in the upper wells that causes them issues because a lot of that water is then being sent down to the deeper aquifer. And so we worked with Illinois State Water Survey. We reached out to Campton Township, to the village of Lily Lake, to the village of Campton Hills, and worked on this ordinance such that any new wells that are being drilled in Campton Township are separated from the other aquifers. So if you're going to drill a St. Peter well, it's only going to be open to the St. Peter. If you're going to drill a Galena Platteville well, it's only going to be open to the Galena Platteville. So we're going to try to mitigate this mixing of the wells out there in Campton Township. And we did see through our study that it's clearly much worse of a situation on the east side of Campton Township than on the west side. So we still have about half of Campton Township where these aquifers are not mixing together. And so we want to make sure that we're preserving that going forward. So, and when I say worse, I don't mean it's a worse situation for anybody out there. I just mean that the transfer of that water is concerning because of the potential impacts in that water quality. So the health department has run this through IDPH. They have provided their approval for this change. So after this committee, this ordinance will be going to public health next week, and then it will continue on to executive and county board. So if you have any questions, the details are on the second page about the requirements. It's pretty technical, but the health department in issuing well permits going forward, once this is approved, will be ensuring that their well drillers are aware of this new change and also ensuring that this information is provided on the permits.
Any questions? Ms. Wojnicki?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Without being too technical or detailed, how will they prevent the shallower wells from then dropping down into the lower wells, is it like what's been happening? So what will change when they drill the well initially?
What will change is they'll have to put a casing, which is a solid pipe, through those upper units until they get to the lower units. So we can keep that separation. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion. There's nothing we can do about the eastern side of Campton Township. So we're going to continue to make sure we're monitoring it with the state to ensure that we don't have additional water quality issues, or we don't have lowering of aquifer levels in those upper units that are also connected to the lower units. Right now with the study, we didn't see any of that. We checked for water quality issues as well as differential heads in those wells. So the idea is just moving forward, we can maintain that separation. And again, with any kind of contamination issue, if you have road salts that are contaminating those upper aquifers, now it's not just the upper aquifers that you're contaminating, now it's potentially the lower ones. And so the smaller area we can mitigate this in is going to be better for the county moving forward into the future in regards to our water sustainability.
Right, just another quick question, Jody. St. Pete's is about 600 feet deep. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
This is fascinating. Does St. Pete's recharge?
It does. There's the St. Pete's recharge area is actually from south Wisconsin through the Rockford area. But again, you have users there as well. So the more users you have on the system, the less recharge we get in our area. And so that's something that as we move forward with the water study that you'll be seeing next month as a resolution come through, that we'll be working with the state to determine the accurate recharge, which may be through that upper unit that's coming down into the that might be a larger quantity for us because of the Campton Township issue, is that we have more water coming from above than we do coming from Wisconsin.
This is just one of our most important issues. So thank you. This is a sensitive mic. So thank you, Jody, for keeping an eye on this. In my sustainability master's degree, we had a water class, and one of the coolest things was some of the aquifers don't have a recharge, and there are thousands and thousands of that water is called fossil water. It's like dinosaur water because it's so old. But even with the recharge, this is one of our most precious resources, water.
I do
Wow.
have one
Amen,
more
Madam.
question.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I do have one more question. Do we get water then from Joliet at all?
We don't. The groundwater flow is from Wisconsin
from
area through
Wisconsin.
Rockford towards Joliet.
Okay.
The challenge with Joliet, though, is because they have the Sandwich Fault that is right south of Joliet,
Okay.
is that when they're drawing down the aquifers, they're drawing down from half of the area because there's no connection through the Sandwich Fault. And so because their usage doesn't have that full depth of surrounding area to draw from, it draws it down much quicker, much faster, because you don't have the same amount of incoming water. And that drawdown is affecting Kane County. And so when we're running these flow models, you're seeing this water that's coming into the St. Peter and these deeper aquifers from Campton Township is heading towards the Joliet area.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jody.
Okay, no more discussion. Roll call, please.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonnicki,
Yes.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
yes.
Thank you very much. Should I introduce you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Christine. I'm a newbie.
Official title?
Yes. Recording secretary.
Welcome to our
Thank
Chris. our
I
new
apologize for my my very fast.
Roll calling.
I got nervous.
Just give this Ellen
Oh, you're
two
fine.
seconds. to
Great.
get her
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Out
you
of
all.
patience with this soon enough, so you now. You'll have to
apologize
forgive
too
us
soon.
later.
Patience was not part of my
Not the script,
directive.
not in the description?
No.
See.
Okay, but back
Thank you all.
to Ms. Waldeck.
No,
You're-
did we
you're
do
done?
the roll call
Yeah,
for that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Just-
me too.
Just,
She's fast.
okay, she's fast, yeah. Sorry about that. So the second item I have before you this morning is a resolution approving a contract with Illinois Indiana Sea Grant for the Kane County Water Conservation Educational Program. This was one of the 4 resolutions that went through the ARPA committee for the continuing Kane County Sustainable Water Supply. And this one is specifically with Illinois Indiana Sea Grant for $265,000. What they will be doing is working with U of I and the Extension Office, and will be putting out requests to our municipalities that are struggling with either water loss or excessive water use. And they will be providing those municipalities with resources to assist in reducing their water use. And so we have a couple of individuals already identified, but going forward, we're gonna send that request out to anyone who wants the technical assistance, that wants to work on water conservation in their community. And then from there, we will be reporting back to this committee. So next month, you will see the other 3 resolutions, I'm hoping, with Illinois State Water Survey.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes. Did we have a motion to discuss?
Yeah.
We did? Okay.
We need
Oh,
you need to call
I'm
us on
sorry. No.
I'll make a motion to move.
Thank you.
Strathman seconds.
thank you.
Wonnicki seconds.
Oh, Nikki second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms.
Strathman
Molina.
seconded first.
Is there any discussion? Oops. Any discussion? I asked for discussion, but I forgot about the motion. Okay.
Yeah.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Thank you for your patience. Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman happily, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonnicki,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
passes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Molina, for your kind assistance. So now I would like to move on to Claire. Ms. Ryan, please.
Great. Thank you. This is not on the agenda, but just a quick reminder of upcoming things before our next committee meeting. The first is our rescheduled tour of the Heartland Material Recovery Facility, AKA a really large recycling sorting center. Is the rescheduled date is October 4th. There are no, to my knowledge, there are no county meetings that day. So hopefully you can all attend. I was hoping to get just an idea of who is planning to come.
I'll be there. Hopefully.
October 4th, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I put it on my calendar, so.
Wonderful.
I'll be in.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Alan is going to try.
Excellent. I think the odds that it'll be over 80 degrees are much lower than it was in June. So we've got that going for us too.
Hopefully,
true.
it's not cooling down very much, is it?
Not yet, but we've got a whole month almost, I guess, 2 weeks.
On my calendar.
The other thing I just wanted to remind folks of is that our last large recycling event, the last one that's going to be at the circuit clerk's office, will be October 8th. That is going to be very similar to what we did in May. It's the shredding trucks and also latex paint collection and aerosol items with flat cans. So yeah, I think that'll be a good one.
Do you need volunteers for that?
Generally, yeah, I can always use volunteers. It's great to have, we've had really great board participation at our recycling events this year. I love to see it. So if anyone wants to come out, that would be wonderful. Okay. And then my agenda item, do I get the motion first to discuss or?
Don't know.
Okay. Okay. So, this,
We're gonna recommend not tabling this, but requesting that it go to exec once we have the IGA. So I don't think you need a motion because you don't have an IGA to approve today.
yeah.
So I'll let Claire take it from there. So I don't think we're requesting a motion.
Yeah, okay. So the issue at hand is unincorporated Blackberry Township passed a you call it a referendum in the spring to allow franchised hauling of trash recycling, et cetera, from all unincorporated township residences. At the moment, Kane County has the contract for hauling in the Mill Creek Special Service Area. And what we're hoping to do and working on is being able to provide the services under the current contract to the rest of Blackberry Township. And I think, from my perspective, that when we get there, it would be a great thing because it's a really good contract. It's a good service. And, right now, just as a reminder, when you don't have franchised agreements, you have each resident individually contracting with a hauler, and you might have a neighborhood with 4 or 5 different haulers coming in and out of there every week. It's a huge amount of truck traffic, which does damage to the roads. It's a lot of emissions, both, carbon emissions, but also like just diesel fumes in the air. So it'll definitely be beneficial. The current status is that the IGA / service rider for LRS, the contract holder, that is being worked on by the state's attorney's office. They're trying to, work the language out between the county and the township. And we're just not there yet. But we do really hope to have this to exec so that this can go forward and this actual service can start on November 1st, which is it's the contract year. LRS started in Mill Creek on November 1st last year. So it's just elegant if you can line it up that way. It's not the end of the world if we don't, but that's what we're shooting for.
So the IGA does not exist yet, so we can't approve it today.
That is correct.
Yeah, so we'd be asking for a consensus from this committee to put it right on exec committee without coming back through here so we can meet that November 1st date.
Yeah.
That's what.
I do have a question. Mill Creek is the bulk of Blackberry Township. It's a huge subdivision. And do you have a count of how many homes are not in Mill Creek that will be partaking in this? And will the trucks that go out and pick up in Mill Creek be picking up there the same day? Do we know that?
I believe it would be the same day. I can't 100% guarantee that, but I'm pretty sure LRS was not looking at adding a service day because they're already, the Mill Creek service is spread between, I think, 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
And then the first part was how many addresses. I did get a count of that and I didn't memorize the number, but it's slightly over 1,000.
There are 1,000. Okay.
Yeah, I think it would be right in saying it's larger than 1,000, smaller than 1,250.
Okay.
Well, so right now people are hiring their own. Will there be any, and LRS is the name of the company that already is at Mill Creek?
Sure.
Yes.
And they would be taking this over. Can people still hire their own company if they want to? Is there going to be any pushback from the residents about this or from the other haulers or?
So the answer to the first part is no. When a township starts a franchise agreement, it generally precludes residents from hiring their own service. Generally, you don't see a lot of pushback from residents because they don't love the truck traffic in general that's associated with all these different haulers coming in and out. And usually they actually get much better pricing. No matter who the contract holder is, they're haulers like these franchise agreements. So, it brings in more business for them. So they do offer more competitive pricing than they do to individual people. It does not touch at all upon, like the rest of the county, it doesn't touch at all upon commercial enterprises. So those would all still be able to and expected to contract their own hauling. Then the second part of that was pushback from other haulers. I mean, it's always possible. We did when we have been cognizant of this referendum in Blackberry Township for quite a while. So when we developed the original RFA for hauling in Mill Creek, we included a clause that let all bidders or potential bidders know that there was this possibility pending a referendum that this contract could be extended to include the rest of unincorporated Blackberry Township. And we asked all bidders to respond specifically to that. So again, the legal part of it is really more for, the state's attorney's office to figure out. But I believe when we put that together, our understanding was, this would then allow the extension of the contract without opening us to liability from other haulers.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty doubtful that
Did we
haulers,
do an RFP? Was there an RFP for,
there was an RFP for Mill Creek.
and for the rest of Blackberry?
It included that provision, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, then.
Yeah. It's unlikely that haulers would be very excited to respond to an RFP just for the rest of Blackberry Township. I mean, 1,000 addresses isn't nothing. That's not, they like many thousands.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then do we have a consensus from our
Sure.
committee? Online, on Zoom?
Yes,
Everybody
sure.
okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Okay, good. I believe that on some of these small residential roads that garbage trucks must be one of the worst terror uppers of worst things that tear up
Kind of my
I mean,
point.
we've talked about
Yeah.
that for many years, that,
Mhm.
you don't have that many big huge trucks going through these streets on a regular basis. So that'll be great. Okay, thank you. Ms. Klee.
Good morning, everyone. I have some sustainability updates for committee members today. If you could please go to the next slide. Thank you. So first, I have a solar project update. I was out on site with Madam Chair and also Madam Chair and Ms.
Chair.
and Madam Chair a couple weeks ago, but my photos today, I have a couple photos for you guys. So the civil excavating work is wrapping up. We've been told that the grading and the excavator should be finished soon. We're hoping to get them wrapped up as soon as possible because the resolution to approve the bid for the tree landscaping project that's going to go along Britcher Road was approved on Tuesday. So that's very exciting, and we're going to try and get those trees planted as soon as possible so that they have time to grow before the winter comes around and they're comfortable in their new environment. So that's wrapping up shortly. There's been more communication with building management team and resolving any issues that have come up as of late. There's electrical work that is currently being done inside and outside the building. So there's a lot going on, and we have GRNE staff on site every day, as well as the excavator can be there on days when there's no rain. When there is rain, the excavator does need to take like a day or two off to let the site dry out.
Stop, please. Excuse me. There was a mention in the chat that Ms. Strathman, are you seeing the slides?
No, I am not.
I am. Is everybody else seeing the slides?
Alan, I've got them.
Okay, are you in side-by-side mode, Ms. Strathman?
No, well, let me see here.
What are you seeing?
Okay, I get it now. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay,
your
all good.
patience.
Okay,
All
you're
good, thanks.
Awesome. And moving on, we have one transformer in place. So the transformer has been put onto the concrete pad and is connected to an electrical room at the Judicial Center. And there's going to be another transformer that will be connected shortly. So once the grade work is wrapped up, the electric work will continue. And then after that, the racking can begin. So the racking will be that putting together the solar panels and putting those on site. So, and we have confirmation that all the racking materials are ready to be shipped, which is awesome. So once the team is ready for them, they'll be shipped and they'll get put into place.
Wow.
And our GRNE solar team has told us that within the next month, there should be significant progress. So hoping to have photos that can definitely show that next month. If you could please go to the next slide. So here's some photos of us on site. The bottom right-hand corner is a north-facing photo. You can see there's lots of civil excavating machinery out there. And the site looks pretty good. It's all dirt and flattened right now. Next slide, please. So these photos are just to show some progress of what the site looks like. The top two photos are north-facing. And so in the left top corner, the northern part of the project is the grading work is completely finished and they've put down topsoil. So that area is done. So you can see that the dirt looks a little darker there than it does on the bottom half of the photo. So once all of the civil grading work is done, there'll be topsoil put down and seeds to kind of finish off and hold all of the new grading in place. And the bottom photo is, I believe, an east-facing photo. So you can see that is what's left of the north berm. It's come down quite a bit, so it looks very different. Next slide, please. So here's some other photos from the site. I believe the top left-hand corner is south-facing. The top right-hand corner is west-facing. The bottom left-hand corner is northwest-facing, or that might be northeast-facing. And then the bottom right-hand corner is south-facing. So you can see the homes that are across the street directly and back. And then that green hill is the southern berm. So that's been built up quite a bit. It looks very nice. And we're hopeful that that will be able to screen the solar field from the neighbors who are across the street. Next slide, please. Oh, so
Back,
are there
please.
any questions on the,
Go back, please.
so that's all I have for the solar site. Are there any questions before I move on?
Photos.
Yeah, Madam Bates. Just a question. There was a question about the prevailing wage.
Mhm.
Has that been addressed?
Yes, so that there was a prevailing wage, I believe complaint filed, and GRNE has responded to that with all of their paperwork. They're in compliance, and we had a meeting with them. Our attorneys are in contact with them, and they have been able to provide us with all of their paperwork. And so we're just waiting to hear from them. They've communicated with the agency that has
Labor-
filed the complaint. So
Labor
we're-
Bureau or.
yeah, we're waiting to hear from them when they've received the okay that they are in compliance. So we will keep you all updated.
Working on that then. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. So I heard some of the developers talking about the southern berm as the courtesy berm.
Mhm.
Will there be any solar panels on the south side of the southern berm?
No,
So we are now calling that the courtesy berm, as in the courtesy of hiding,
Hiding. them.
blinding the rest of the panels from
Mhm.
from the residents. So we have a courtesy berm now,
Yes.
not the southern berm, well, it's both.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, this has been so exciting to watch this happening. It turns out you can move a mountain. You say you can't move a mountain, but you can if it's a small mountain. And it's so exciting to see this happening. And any day now, it's going to start looking like something
Mhm.
besides a big pile of dirt.
Yes.
And it is large.
Mhm.
It is enormous. I'm the magnitude is wonderful and big. So any other questions or comments?
Madam Chairman, this is Alan.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Just when we were first starting on this project, we talked about trees. We talked about some trees being included, I think, in the contract. We talked about adding more trees. We talked about our buying higher quality fencing to assuage the neighbors. And I believe we got a grant for some trees. So I'm just kind of interested in seeing how all of that money shakes out, because I believe we've got $100,000 now as part of the capital budget. And I think I'm correct remembering there was a grant to bring us some trees. And I thought that there was some money included in our, I'll never get the acronym right, our company that we're using, our vendor here, that they were also kicking in some money for fencing and trees. It's just that we were upgrading. Is that approximately right?
Ms. Clee?
Yes, so I can answer all of those questions. So at the last E&E committee meeting, there was a resolution to approve a contract with a company called Cornerstone Partners Horticultural Services. So that bid was to complete the landscaping project that will be adjacent to the solar facility. So that bid contained approximately, we're going to receive 45 trees from Cornerstone. We did also receive a grant from the Chicago Region Trees Initiative for 20 trees. So there's a total of 65 trees that will be newly planted along the south side or the north side of Britcher Road, but the south side of the southern berm, or the courtesy berm. So we're going to have some really nice landscaping. And that bid has been approved. So we're going to move on that as soon as we possibly can. And the fencing, so I believe at the last E&E committee meeting, we did receive a consensus from committee members to approve that the cost of upgrading the fencing from chain link fence to black aluminum fencing will only be done in areas where the fence can be seen from the neighboring residents. So it won't be along the entire solar facility. It'll just be on the south side and southwest areas where where the fence is visible to the neighbors. And the fencing cost will be wrapped into the final PPA pricing because at the time of discussing that with GRNE Solar, it was uncertain what the costs of that would look like just due to issues with materials and sourcing. So that the fencing cost will be wrapped in. The landscaping bid that was approved was for just under $60,000. So within that price will be 65 trees, which is awesome.
Nice.
Will the fence go around the southern berm?
The fence will,
Into the-
so the fence will be around the solar panels.
Okay, so then it won't.
And I
go
don't,
around
that does not include the southern berm. So it'll
not
be
much of
on the south
fence will
side.
Be visible, right?
We hope not, but we'll figure that out when, as we get closer.
Is there a possibility we won't need the upgrade on to the better fence if it's not
Mm.
visible?
Likely, it'll just be less square footage of the fence will need to be upgraded.
The southeast
concern.
corner is still pretty exposed because the
Mhm.
south berm tapers off. And so that's the main area we're expecting to need to
Okay.
upgrade the fence.
Okay, great. So we are going to be like good Girl Scouts and leave a place better than when we got there because we're going to be adding 100 trees. About
65 trees.
65. Yeah, close enough.
And a lot of the
65
invasive
trees.
teasel will be gone. We used to call that teasel heaven there.
Be pollinator seed mix underneath
There you go.
the solar panels.
Yeah, nice.
So even the monarchs are going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
All that pollinator blend. Thank you, Ms. Oh, and now, but wait, there's more.
Yes, there's more updates to come. And if there's any interest from committee members who would like to go out on site, I'm happy to arrange a tour at any time and I will keep you all up. Okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Awesome. Cool. All right, great. Well, I'll coordinate with you and we can schedule a time for a tour.
Should we wait until we get a little more?
Little
Whatever
further
it
ahead.
works.
Whenever
I
you want to
can-
go.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Well, you might want to go before the excavator leaves because they're really fun. No. But they're really big. So it's fun to see how big these things are. Don't forget your hard hat or you will definitely get a talking to. So, okay, let's go on.
Next slide, please. So there is an event happening this weekend that is put on by the Conservation Foundation that I wanted to share with committee members. There's a St. Charles River cleanup for Ixar Fox River Day. And I have also been made aware that there are a series of events along the Fox River and you can find those. So it's not just in St. Charles, but there's other events happening along the river. There's a map of that on Friends of the Fox River's website. But that's happening tomorrow from 9 to 11 a.m. The one in St. Charles is starting at Fersen Creek Park and all ages and abilities are encouraged to join. If there's any attendance under 16, they must be accompanied by an adult. And I did put the link up there, so feel free to go visit that link if you'd like some more information. And the organizations that are putting that event together are the River Corridor Foundation of St. Charles Park District, and the Conservation Foundation. So that should be a fun event happening this weekend. Next slide, please.
Just
go-
jump in just to add that a couple other events. I know that our Rotary Club is doing a cleanup in Carpentersville, and the Forest Reserve, the shameless plug for the Forest Reserve,
Mhm.
is doing two, one at John Dewar and one at Glen Woods.
Awesome.
Same time.
Very nice.
There's plenty of opportunities. Get out,
Yeah.
help clean up our river.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, nice
Madam
active
Chair?
weekend.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Chapman.
There's also a cleanup at Trout Park in Elgin with Friends of the Fox. So we've got lots of opportunity to work on this beautiful resource that we have.
We do love our river. A river runs through it.
Mhm.
Wonderful. All right, great. So I did also want to just give a short note today on the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed recently, and what does that look like for the climate and the sustainability industry. There's kind of been some discussion of that in the renewable energy field. So I just did a little bit of research and wanted to share some fun facts about that act today. So the Inflation Reduction Act is a $369 billion investment to reduce emissions by 40% by 2030. So quite a big undertaking. Some of the main goals that are included for the act that fall under environmental initiatives, making clean energy more affordable and accessible. So the act has extended tax credits by 10 years for solar clean energy. I believe also wind as well. There's a big creation of green jobs in the US to build solar panels. So there's going to be lots of green jobs created to build solar panels, batteries, and green technology. And there's also a home energy rebate program for disadvantaged communities involved within that as well. The act also would like to look toward improving clean transit, so clean heavy duty vehicles and buses. There'll be funding for that, as well as cleaning up ports and creating neighborhood access and equity grants for local communities to take on their own environmental initiatives locally. Also reducing pollution in low income communities and communities of color is a important piece of this act as well. So there are going to be air pollution. There's going to be funding for air pollution monitoring and EJ block, environmental justice block grants for community-led projects, which is very exciting. Industrial agriculture was also mentioned as well. So there will be funding for sustainable practices in agriculture like crop rotation and cover crops, and also funding to improve and expand upon research of the climate impact of agriculture. And finally, protecting nature and strengthening resilience to climate change was also mentioned as to be supported in this act. So maturing and old growth forests will be protected there will be funding to protect those in this act. There will be coastal resilience grants and endangered species recovery plans included. Next slide, please. So what does this act mean for King County residents, and how might this act be applicable to our residents? So there's a 30% tax credit for installing residential solar. So now is a great time for residents who are interested in pursuing residential solar. The tax credits are very strong. There's also up to a $7,500 tax credit and incentive for purchasing a new electric vehicle. And that incentive is $4,000 for a used electric vehicle. So those incentives are also very strong right now due to the passing of this act. And they've also noted that there could be up to $14,000 incentive for home energy efficiency upgrades, which would include an $8,000 to install new heat pumps. So energy efficiency incentives as well. And according to the sources, which I have at the top of this slide, making these changes could help families save $1,800 per year on their energy bills, and making their costs more predictable and stable as compared with the fossil fuel prices that we've seen change drastically over the past year. So this is really exciting, and I just wanted to bring some of these exciting environmental initiatives and new sources of funding to everyone's attention. Are there any questions on that before I move on to the next update?
I just want to make a comment. Oh, go ahead. I have solar panels on my roof, and I'm driving a electric hybrid car. And I don't want to brag or boast, but I want to be kind about this, but I'm basically driving for free. Don't tell anybody. But so that's, when you got solar panels on your house and you're driving an electric car, you are driving on sunshine. And imagine, so, my heart goes out to the people who are, I have another car, my old Subaru, my kind of junker trucker car. But I stopped at the gas station, and the person before me, you see the number, $257. That poor person. So,
Big
this is,
pickup truck or something.
Must have been, I
Yeah.
don't know what or an excavator. Maybe they pulled their excavator up.
Uh-huh.
But with these incentives, my solar panels start out at $17,500. And with the incentives, they were down to about 5,000.
Mm.
And I should save about $1,000 a year, but that was before gas prices went up.
Mhm.
Now you've got to figure in not just the money you're saving per kilowatt hour, but also the money you're saving per mile. It's a good deal. You know, you may accidentally be saving the planet while you do all this, but you're also saving yourself so much money. And don't forget about Solar for All. That's a program in Illinois. So we now have the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the federal bill. But in Illinois, we are so lucky because we also have the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, which also provides credits and rebates and solar renewable energy credits. Right? Okay. Oh, Madam
Oh,
Miss Lewis,
Even though I'm sorry.
not on this committee. Can you go back to that slide? Go to your microphone.
back up one slide.
Yeah.
please.
Anita Lewis. So I just have a quick question. If we want to put this out to our constituents, where do they go to like look into this? Is there websites for these things that
I could put those up on our website if that would be
Okay.
helpful.
it would be awesome?
Yeah, yeah. And public education about these types of incentives are definitely included in our department's goals and missions. And also a lot of this has been communicated in the programming. So the residential solar program that we're working on with Grow Solar Chicagoland, they've been able to communicate with residents as to how much they can be saving with residential solar right now, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm part of one of those neighborhood groups,
Mhm.
and somebody's always on there saying, what about solar? And so I'm always
Mhm.
giving them, the stuff about that.
Mhm.
And you're just like, okay, so I'd like to, have this information available. So if you
Yeah.
would put the stuff on your website, that'd be great. And then secondly, I want to chastise the chairwoman because I live in the East Side Historic District in Aurora. And I was going to get solar and then we could not get a permit in the historic district. And I'm trying to get that ordinance changed in Aurora. And I think I know some people that can get it done. And every time she brags about her property, it upsets me. So
Well, I take your chastisement to heart.
thank you.
I'm also on the Aurora Sustainability.
I
Board.
know you are. You're
And-
the woman. Make
So-
it happen for me.
So we've got to get that changed. A homeowners association cannot refuse you the right to put solar panels on your house.
Hmm.
I don't see why we should allow these historical committees, preservation committees
Mhm.
to do this. And I have introduced this at the Aurora Sustainability Board and I will reintroduce it.
Okay. And if you let me know when, I'll come and. make
Okay.
public comment.
Okay.
So just in general, HOAs cannot say you cannot put solar
can.
panels. Oh,
Mhm.
that's
Can't stop you.
how about windmills?
Different thing.
Or wind, different, okay. Mhm.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Sorry.
But
Okay.
historic districts can say no solar because.
Oh,
that-
okay.
Yeah.
But
and
that
and
is.
Many of our towns have historic districts.
Ah,
So it's not
interesting.
just Aurora. I
Okay.
just happen to live there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Elgin.
It has to be
it's-
changed.
Mhm.
It does have to get changed.
Okay, I will put a,
All right. Thank you. I'm sorry to,
thank you for putting that B back in my bonnet.
Thank you.
It's got to be changed.
it does.
There's no excuse for that.
They can't be put on ground instead of on the roofs?
It can, like in my property, they said you can put it back in the corner where I have my
Right.
trees. So
Okay.
that's just not gonna really work
Okay.
too well. Because I'm not gonna cut down my trees,
Yeah.
so,
Most people don't have enough room in their yards, right? To,
Mm.
yes.
maybe you do,
To heat a house though? No?
for solar panels.
Mhm. That's what I mean, yeah.
For,
Mhm.
I don't think most people.
I mean,
have enough.
yeah, I'm not savvy on solar panels. I can't imagine for one home, you would, I don't know how many solar panels you would need.
About 19, 20.
I think of
Oh,
18, something like
okay.
that.
Okay, it's more than I
Says-
thought.
Says the woman who has 2 acres, 5 acres.
Lot of prairie though, a lot
I
of
just have my
prairie.
city lot, okay?
Solar panels out there.
Miss Clee, could you give us a little bit of an update on the, oh, One moment, please, Mr.
I had
Caius.
my hand up. Sorry. I'll shut it.
I'm so rude.
I'm sorry, just because it's, and we've gone beyond it. We're talking about electrical vehicles and from one electric car owner to another, plug-in hybrid. There is something that has not been promoted well, I don't think, that I just became aware of a day before yesterday, that the National Drive Electric Week occurs next week, and on Saturday, September 24th in West Dundee at the Spring Hill Mall, the Northern National Drive Electric Week, which is part of the Fox Valley Electrical Owners Association, is having from 10:30 to 3:30, a demonstration and display of a variety of things, including electrical vehicles. They're looking for those that own electric vehicles to participate and bring their vehicle to show people. And they are, I think maybe we're getting so many of them around, they're not a novelty. So they're having a difficult time getting a lot of electric vehicles because there's so many of them on the road. But if you'd like to volunteer and help do that, I can give you the link to that.
Somebody should let Julie know, Julie Mann, she'll
Yeah.
put it on her Kane Connect.
I'll send you that information.
Yeah.
Great. I just became aware of it this last day or so. So that's my
Thank
spiel.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Klee, could you mention how we're doing with the climate action plan?
Yes, so the climate action plan was approved at 2 county board meetings ago. So we are currently still working with the state attorney's office and purchasing department to complete the vetting process of that. I believe we are very close to getting the contract signed. So as soon as we can get that done, we will begin to have meetings with Pale Blue Dot and start planning for the kickoff of that plan. But we are very excited. I've gotten a ton of emails from the public who are interested in participating in the public engagement and public feedback portion of that plan. So I already have great contacts, but if anyone has any particular person or stakeholder who might be interested in participating, or if you think that they would be a great perspective to have, please feel free to send me their contact information. Right now, I'm just collecting all of those.
I have a feeling that's going to be our project for next year,
Mhm.
2023.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic. And I have a question, Ms. Klee. Would the one-use bag fee ordinance, could that be part of the climate action plan? Do you think that would be one of the, because we're planning on putting template for ordinance examples into the climate action plan, correct? So
Mhm.
Ms.
So-
Wolnick, do you have so that way we can make sure it happens.
That'd be good.
Make sure we at least get the ordinance written and put that in there. Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Any other questions, comments? I think I already made my chairman's comments several times. So may I have a motion to place, any other
I-
comments
I
online?
have one more update.
Okay,
Sorry.
Ivy.
One more quick update, and then I promise I'll be done. I just wanted to share some exciting news on an event that our department has been working on. So Ann Wilford from our department was interested in putting on a Kane County floodplain awareness virtual open house. I know that she's been interested in hosting this event for quite some time, so we are finally going to put it together. The Floodplain Awareness Week is September 26th through October 1st. Next slide, please. So the virtual open house will happen throughout that week, and I have the calendar of events on the next slide. But the idea with this educational series is to create awareness and offer education to communicate that flooding is the most common and most expensive natural disaster in the United States. So this educational series is not only for residents, but also for professionals who work in the field, and also for realtors, as well as folks who live in an HOA, or for folks who are involved in homeowners associations. For residents, the information on floodplains will go over what a floodplain is, what the common terms are, and where it can flood, just to kind of communicate more about what that looks like. Also communicate with residents on regulations and what they need to know about their properties. Should they be in a floodplain? Communicating information on flood insurance and what that looks like and what kind of protection our residents should have. And also an introduction to wetlands, what they are and how they help everyone. For HOAs, there will be information on stormwater basin management and what homeowners associations need to know about that. For professionals, there will be elevation certificates covering that and working with professionals on what we can all do together, as well as flood proofing. And then for realtors, that will definitely be an audience that will be targeted with this educational series and helping work with them to understand how they can market floodplain properties accurately. Next slide. Oh, perfect. Thank you. So this is the schedule for the week. It's all going to be virtual. So the first day is going to be a general introduction to floodplain awareness. The second day, we will have the flood insurance expert who will give a virtual presentation on understanding active versus passive flood protection for professionals and business owners. And then after that, there'll be a flood risk reduction workshop for residents. And then on Wednesday, we will have Rob Linke give a presentation on wetlands and King County wetlands and wetland mapping, which will be fun. And then after that, we will have the Conservation Foundation's Jennifer Hammer give a presentation on detention basin maintenance for homeowner associations and contractors. And then Thursday, there will be us members from FEMA and the NFIP group giving a presentation. And on Friday, we will have some folks from the Conservation Foundation to give tips on what homeowners can do as far as stormwater maintenance and conservation at home. So that's the schedule for the week. The information is hopefully going to get on our website posted today. We're working really hard to put this all together and get it out to the public as soon as possible. So I just want to share that bit before we end.
Very exciting.
Good.
Will there be anything for developers to don't build on a floodplain?
I think the whole week's presentations are open to both professionals, developers for sure. And we're kind of hoping to create a space to have discussion with developers, contractors, professionals who also work in the field, realtors, homeowners, so everyone, and have those discussions as well.
I grew up in Libertyville,
Mhm.
and the Des Plaines River goes through Libertyville, and they built, I think it was called North Libertyville Estates or something, right on the floodplain of Des Plaines River. And the first time it rained a lot, all those houses got flooded for hundreds of houses because they built them right next to the river. So, okay, thanks, Ivy. That's great news.
Madam Chairman Allen,
Yes, Miss Allen?
if you'll go back one slide, you'll notice that on Friday at noon is a Kane County alum who moved over to the Conservation Foundation and is going to be here talking with us. It's kind of nice to see a familiar name.
Yes.
And then if you'll go back one more slide,
There you go.
can I ask what those things filled with rocks are?
Oh, I think those are just their
It's their,
driveway
yeah, their
monuments.
driveway pillars for their
Mhm.
driveway.
Driveway pillars.
Oh,
launch.
okay. I thought it was some technique for trying to protect your property and I didn't recognize it. Thanks, sorry.
Those are the markers for what used to be their driveway.
Now they're boat launch.
That's where you tie up your kayak.
Ironically, they're made out of river rock, I think.
Since Mr. Ford is in the wings for the Jobs Committee, may I have a motion to place the reports on file?
Caius moves.
Alan moves.
Thank you. Caius, Ms. Allen, roll call, please.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonnicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Passes.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you to my fabulous staff as always. so impressed with what you do for us every month. And thank you to my team members and thank you to Ms. Newby. Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
I
Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
think we'll call it our staff, though.
Our
Our
staff,
staff.
our staff.
Yeah,
Our staff,
our wonderful staff.
our wonderful staff.